Tenemos una agenda. Tenemos que empezar. There's seats up here. There's seats right there. Seats there. Over there. It's a full crowd.
That one. Oh, wait. It has their faces on it.
Yes. If you need translation services, we have them in the back. Si usted necesita traducción, Ana atrás les puede ayudar. Traducción, si necesita traducción, Ana atrás les puede ayudar. Great. So we're going to get started. Hello, everyone. My name is Roberto. I'm the Community Engagement Coordinator for Resilience Orange County. I first want to thank the sponsoring organizations, Resilience OC, Latino Health Access, and Santana Building Healthy Communities for putting on this 501c3 nonpartisan candidates forum today. I do want to set some ground rules for this space. We are here because of democracy. We are here to hear from the candidates, right? So please limit any audience interruption. We will remind you, right, that this space is for the candidates and for them to speak on the issues. So I would appreciate it, right, if we can do this forum, nice and smooth. We are collecting questions. They have some questions in the front. Your questions have to be asked in a rapid fire format, meaning a yes or no question, a for or against question. And you can submit those to me. We have a timekeeper, Alma, here in the front, okay? And lastly, we'll introduce the moderator, Norberto, who will go over a little bit about the format. We'll start off with the mayor's candidate and then move into city council.
Thank you for being here. Thank you to the candidates for being here. It's always wonderful to see a good debate and discussion. Again, the first part of the panel, about 20 minutes or so, will be dedicated to the mayoral race. After that, we'll go to the city council members. We'll start off with some questions from some of our youth members. So be able to introduce yourselves. We'll do a minute and a half introduction for each candidate, which everything will be timed to make sure that it's even. If there's any issues, if you all want to challenge each other on anything that you believe is worthwhile to do so, feel free to do so. We'll try to stay within the time limits a bit. But again, if there's something important that you think is important to sort of challenge each other on, feel free to do so. And I'll try to keep it again in the realm of good taste, let's say. So let's start off here. Let's just get going to it. We'll go to these general questions, and again, it'll be about a minute each for both candidates to answer. And let's get started. Who's the first youth questioner that we have? Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. So let's start off with the introductions. You want me to move the microphone to them? Do they have their own? Okay. Okay, so let's start off with something.
Good evening. Hello.
Oh, turn it off.
I knew that. I was just testing.
I was just testing. My name is Sal Tinajero. A little bit about myself. Our slogan for this campaign is that it's time. And what does time stand for? I'm a teacher. I've been a teacher for 23 years. I was the National Hispanic Teacher of the Year in 2006. I was awarded in the White House by former First Lady Laura Bush. In 2018, I was the California Educator of the Year. I am independent. The I stands for independent. I don't raise a whole lot of money. I am not a big special interest kind of person. That's why I've been able to take on the POA when I thought they were doing something wrong. That's why I've been able to take on special interest when I thought they were doing something wrong. At the end of the day, I've stood for you. M stands for motivating. I still have it in the tank. I believe we can do much better than we are today. And E stands for experience. I have 18 years experience as an elected official. I am here because I believe Santa Ana could be further along than we are today. I believe our mayor has been here for a very long time, And when you're here that long, the same ideas come over and over and over again. When I had the majority in 2012, we hired a real city manager who took us out of bankruptcy. We raised a $50 million surplus, and everyone received raises for the first time since 2008. We can do better, and I'll continue to discuss that a little later.
Thank you, Sal. Miguel.
Thank you, Norberto, and thank you to Latino Health Access, a wonderful organization that's out there in the community, taking care of people, going door to door, finding out what's going on with them in their lives, and really making a difference, especially as it relates to their health. I'll tell you, I've been here, and I've had the privilege of serving you over the years, but every year has been different. Years have been a lot better. I remember the early days when there was a lot more crime than there is today, and I remember the days when we were really trying to move things forward that were apparently impossible. I'll tell you, today we have things like a $400 million project that's going to come right downtown here. It's going to be the streetcar. It's going to begin to change not only Santa Ana, but Orange County, and change it for the better. I believe there's going to be opportunities such as One Broadway Plaza, which is going to be a beautiful new building here in the city. There's new schools and better schools, and all sorts of amenities and facilities that, again, were not here some time back. As I reach out and talk to younger people, they don't even know some of the stories that I tell them, but what they do know, they're in a community that they love, they're in a community that they want to live and work and play in, and I think that's why we are a city that is so invigorating, so exciting, that has so many people that want to be here, and I think my time is up. Yes? Thank you.
Thank you, Miguel. Okay, so we're going to take the first question. Is going to be from a member of the youth community. Do we have that person? You can come up here.
Hi everyone, buenas noches. My name is Citlali. I am part of Resilience Orange County. And so my first question for you two is, considering the revenue that is set to come in from the cannabis tax dollars into the general fund, how much would you ensure that there is investment in youth programs and services?
Miguel, we'll start with you.
Thus far we've received about $2.5 million from the cannabis revenue. And I'll tell you, unfortunately, so far every penny has gone in to support that industry because we have so many illegal operators that until the illegals are out, the folks that are kind of come in and paying taxes and following the rules, it's an unfair situation for them. So we first have to stabilize the industry and support them. But look, I believe in the future there's going to be a significant revenue from that, and it's new revenue, and I'd be in favor of setting a percentage, say 25% or so, and try to set that aside for youth activities. But keep in mind, you have to enforce. Right now we have like 11 people within the cannabis department. That unfortunately is close to $1.5 million that is spent just enforcing the current laws. And as it grows, we're going to need more. But also there's a lot of industry coming to Santa Ana. I think it's going to be a very, very large industry, and I think it's going to help our city.
Thank you, Miguel. Sal.
Thank you.
Keeps turning off on me. First and foremost, I was the individual that spearheaded regulating our cannabis industry. No one wanted to do that. Everyone was afraid to do it. It took courage. It took putting your neck out on the line. In fact, back in the 2014 election, the only thing you ever saw my name on and my face was on Measure BV, which was to pass and regulate it. I was the only council member that was willing to do that. I disagree with our mayor. We had 120 illegal dispensaries here in the city of Santa Ana. Yes, at the beginning, that revenue that came in, we used it to shut them down. We're down to 15. Do we still need to put $2.3 million into that enforcement? The answer is no. The reality is that now, I work for the Santa Ana Unified School District. I've talked to the board members there. Now, people are saying, okay, well, first we were reluctant to take some of this money for youth programs, but now we're willing to work. Thank you.
Thank you. So next topic, let's go into, which is immigration. Sanctuary and the undocumented community have been under attack since the new administration, the Trump administration took office. Attacks against California, especially within Orange County in some ways, have turned sour and have caused rifts to either defend or fight against sanctuary. Where do you stand on the issue of sanctuary? We'll start with that.
Thank you very much for that question. First and foremost, the minute that Donald Trump was elected, this council decided to make our city a sanctuary city. We knew that our community was going to be afraid and that they needed to know that they were going to be protected by their leaders. Our mayor voted against it. I voted for it to create a sanctuary city. He voted against it. Not only did I vote for it, I went all the way to the state of California, to the Senate hearings, where I was asked to testify on behalf of all residents of the state of California. I'm happy to let you know that Senator De Leon was able to use his political will and his talent to get it passed. And that's why California now is a sanctuary state. And I went there because our residents said, Sal, we feel safe here, but what about if we go outside of Santa Ana? We can still be deported. Our kids didn't want to go to school. We were losing revenue. People didn't want to shop in our stores. We were losing revenue. We had to do something to show them that we're here for them. And I stand 100% by my decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Sal. Mika.
Thank you. I would challenge that record and tell you that I voted for Sanctuary City as well. It was a unanimous vote of the council. We also voted to support DACA, and Juan, you were there. You remember that vote. We also voted to support DACA. I think that's been very important. We've also had several marches here in the city that I've participated in, and I think we have a wonderful city. We really have been a sanctuary city, I believe, for many, many years. Because even from the Gray Davis days, from Paul Walter's days, we've always respected this community. We've always tried to treat everybody fairly and correctly, and we voted to move forward. I do differ, I think, with the council member in terms of ICE. We did have an issue at the jail where I believe that it's okay to use the jail as a jail, and I know that there's differences of opinion. And right now we have a marshals and other folks in there, but I'm out of time.
May I ask a question? May I ask a question on this subject?
Sure, go ahead, one chance.
I do want to say this, that when we voted on the ICE contract, the mayor, as he stated, did not support that. And one of the things that people were saying is, oh, we're going to lose revenue and the federal government's going to take more money away and so forth. At the end of the day, we have to look at the lives of our community and understand that there's more value in a dollar. There's more value in a child going to school, feeling safe about going to school. You have no idea. At Jackson Elementary School, I went there were second graders. One of the kids said to me, Mr. Tinajero, are you a Trump supporter? I said, no. He said, good, because...
Is there a challenge?
I'm going to challenge him on this. I'm going to challenge him. Mr. Mayor, I apologize.
Right.
Mr. Mayor, why did it take a councilman to take the leadership in making our city a sanctuary city? Why did it take a councilman to put his neck on the line to protect our residents and to get ICE out of our city jails? And
That's a question. There's one.
You know, I believe it's easy to be a historical revisionist. That is not what occurred. I was out there, and Jose's here, Juan is here, other council members are here. We've all been through this battle. I think we're all supportive. I know right now it's a political season and we're trying to figure out where are the edges, what can we do differently, but it's just not accurate. We have a solid city council, we have a solid city. We do have issues, but I think people here feel safe and they're protected. Thank you.
Thank you both. I'm going to move on to the next topic area, which is budget, pension, and police. So the city is in a financial crisis and by many accounts headed straight towards bankruptcy. With rising police pension costs, raises, and the deficit carried by the city jail, Santa Ana PD alone has taken over 50% of the city's general fund. How are you set on managing the city's budget? What city services would you prioritize? And finally, what hard choices would you make to stabilize the budget? Miguel, we'll start with you on
I believe public safety is very important. I also believe that we are able to balance the budget and continue to move the city forward. When you look at something like the jail, it's not in balance. As long as the jail is being utilized, it actually can produce money. And for a while there, yeah, there was an effort to kill the jail and it was down to under 100 beds. Now it's at 450 beds. It's now making money for the city. It's filling that gap and that void that was there. Relative to pensions, every city in California has issues and difficulties with pensions. And that's why we need to continue to work with the employees to make sure that they pay a higher percentage of their employee share. And we need to continue to be very careful as to any increases that we make and do. And I know that council member and myself have a difference of opinion as to the nature of a tax increase. He's supporting a 1.50 sales increase in order to balance the budget. I think that's too much. I'm in favor of a 1 cent sales tax, and maybe we'll get to consider in the future, but we do need additional revenue.
Thank you, Miguel. So,
Ladies and gentlemen, let me let you in on a little secret. Don't tell anybody, this is between us. He's been the mayor for 22 years. We have fewer officers on the street today than we did in 1971. We lost our fire department under his leadership. Leadership starts at the top. But when I was able to get the supermajority on this council in 2012, we were able to balance the budget, have a $50 million reserve, a AA rating from the banks. And what happened? We had a city manager who could check the mayor, who could keep him at bay. Mayor couldn't have that. He saw an opening. He saw an opening. And he got together with the Police Officers Association and they knocked off 2 of my council members. And now where are we? We're back into a structural deficit. Congratulations, Mr. Mayor. That's why we need a new mayor. Someone that's going to speak to you from the truth and tell you where we're going. And so I want to ask the mayor, when we voted on the police contract, did you support raises or did you not support raises?
opportunity to answer back there.
I did support raises, and I'll tell you something else. The city manager that we had that left, that he's talking about, I believe had fictitious budgets. They said we had all sorts of surpluses and all sorts of money. Got a new city manager. Guess what? Not accurate. Not the case. Not true.
Have any of you ever gone to a bank to try to get a loan?
Yep.
And they check your bank records. They check everything. Do you think the banks would have given Santa Ana a AA rating if they hadn't checked our books and checked them thoroughly? Let's be honest about this. He just said we have a structural deficit, but he still was willing to give raises when we don't have the money to give raises. Enough said.
Again, not true. We can say words, but it doesn't have to be true what is said. You can get a different rating if for a while you say we're going to put the money here, we're going to say we have a bigger reserve. But guess what? If you're cutting down on other monies that you had, whether it was for a fund to pay for insurance or other reserves that you had categorized differently, you can do that temporarily. You can cheat the books for a period of time. But guess what? When the chickens come home to roost and the truth sets in, then you see what reality is. And the minute that city manager came in, we had 2 new city managers. They both agree as to what the status of the budget was.
Thank you, Miguel. So we'll move on to the next question. Housing and community development. So earlier this week, the community presented a Remain and Prosper platform to the City Council, urging adoption of a comprehensive package of policies to keep Santa Ana residents housed, reduce rents, or reduce rent burdens, ensure public land is not privatized. The city policy to date has not necessarily addressed the housing insecurity of Santa Ana's 100,000 most vulnerable residents with a household income of less than $35,000. They're not even eligible for the type of affordable housing that's oftentimes being built in cities. So the question is, where do you stand on the platform policies that you've just been handed? And what will you do to protect the right of 1/3 of the population to remain and prosper in Santa Ana? Sarah, we'll start with you.
Thank you very much for that question. Many people don't know this, but 50% of Santa Ana residents don't own a car. In the school district, 93% of our students qualify for free and reduced lunch. That means they live at the poverty line. There's a huge need here. When I was elected in 2006 with 3 of my other colleagues, the previous city council would not create any affordable housing, including the mayor, who used to claim that we have enough poor people in Santa Ana. We don't want more poor people to come to Santa Ana. We need market rate housing so that we diversify the amount of money coming into the city. The fact is, what I would always say is, it's not about more people coming in, it's about meeting the needs of those who are poor, because I was once poor too. I grew up in a garage. I then was able to rent a room. I was then able to move in with other family members till my father got a union job and we were able to buy our own house. Housing is important. It's the first step to breaking the cycle of poverty and helping people get good grades and go on to college.
Thank you, Sal.
I know what it's like to have to get your hair cut at home because you can't afford to go to a barber shop. I know what it's like to have one pair of shoes because that's all you have, and you have to wear the same every day. And I believe that when you talk about rent stabilization, you're talking about rent control. I believe that's not good for the community. We need new housing being built. We need to continue to grow. We can't just freeze everything. Now, unfortunately, yesterday, Sal was unable to stay for the meeting, but we spent almost 3 hours on this issue yesterday. And I'll tell you, at the end of the day, we recommended, in essence, a compromise, not rent control, but come back, may use Section 108 vouchers to assist more, folks that are low income, continue to build whatever we can in affordable housing. But look, we're the fourth densest city in the country. There's a lot of people here in Santa Ana. Within 1 square mile, we have 13,000 individuals. And so whenever we do something, it's often not enough. Thank you.
Thank you, Miguel. Okay, well, as interesting as this is getting, we're going to move now to closing statements. So we'll allow you both to summarize your candidacy in 2 minutes. Sal, you start. You know what? Fair enough. You want to start, Miguel?
I ask for your support. I believe we can continue to move the city in a great, great direction. We have a low unemployment, about 2.9 unemployment. Our crime is down about 75% since I became mayor. It's a different city now. It's a city where we have an artist village, we have new high schools, we have better streets, and we're doing something about the problems that we have. For example, on the homeless, I'm the one that's been out there every day working with Judge Carter